It's 9 o'clock. We try to keep the trains running on time. If you're late for the first meeting, you can't make them all on time. So it's good to get started. We have a quorum. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Senator Berg, Senator Embry, Senator Hornback, Senator Smith, Senator Turner, here. Senator Wheeler, here. Senator Wilson, here. Senator Wise, here. Senator Yates, present. Co-Chair Storm,
here.
Chairman Higdon.
Here. Of course, I remind all of you, we all know this, but keep C.B. Emery in your prayers. He's fighting the good fight, and he'd love to be here, but he's unable to this week. So, like I said, keep him in your prayers. Want to commend co-chair Senator Storm for great job last week, and I had to run to A&R. So thank you, and very very good job. Good reports on your way you conducted your meeting.
I had some excellent help.
Okay, well,
Thank
good
you.
deal. Good deal. Our first bill up this morning is Senate Bill 124. Senator Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to echo the great help we get from Brandon and John Snyder and the other LRC staffers. They're a great help to us and what we do down here and for the citizens of the Commonwealth. Senate Bill 124 is an effort to address a major need in the Commonwealth of Kentucky regarding the lack of commercial truck drivers. I think we've all seen the reports in the national news and locally about the lack of skilled truck drivers and the problems with the supply chain. This is becoming a really a crisis in the United States of America, where, often we find that the shelves are bare in certain stores. I don't know that any of us have seen this in our lifetime. I know I haven't. I guess maybe some of the older members, saw a little bit of this during the oil crisis in the 70s. But as it currently stands, what Senate Bill 124 does, it allows us to access a group of highly talented individuals to fill this need on a limited basis. What Senate Bill 124 does is it essentially states that if you had a CDL in good standing and can pass a physical, then the Commonwealth will waive the requirement that you retake the written test. In order to have that CDL and your endorsements restored. What we've seen during this pandemic is a lot of these folks, although they're skilled truck drivers, they lost their CDL license, perhaps due to their inability to attend a medical appointment to get their health card renewed. When that happened, their CDL expired, and now in order to get that restored, they have to take the written test. It's a rather, for lack of a better term, lawyerly, detailed exam that in many ways probably has to do more with memorizing federal regulations than actually knowing how to drive a truck. And we're not saying we don't want folks to obey the law, but these people are proven drivers and workers who have driven for many, many years and millions of miles, and they're out there ready to go back to work. They have the physical ability to go back to work. These are drivers that had a CDL in good standing at the time their medical card expired and their CDL expired. Many of these folks, especially in eastern Kentucky where I was from, were coal truck drivers. Their employers at many points would actually pay to have their medical exam done and other expenses associated with the CDL. Well, with the downturn of the coal industry, a lot of them lost it simply because of financial inability to pay and some of the fringe benefits associated with their employment. We're now in a little bit of a mini coal boom due to the export market, and yet there's not sufficient coal truck drivers out there to deliver this product. These people are ready, willing, and able to get back into the economy, to actually start paying taxes again. And that's what Senate Bill 124 is all about, is putting people back to work. So this is a good bill. I worked with Sarah Jackson and the folks at Transportation to to get this bill at a point to where it's compliant with federal law and seeks to effectuate what we as a General Assembly want to accomplish, which is providing good paying jobs to folks.
Senator Wheeler, you want to move on the adopted committee
Yes, you
sub?
have a committee substitute before you makes two minor changes. On page 4, the first, it requires applicants to fill out self-certification forms required under federal law. That's a federal compliance issue. The other change that the committee substitute makes is on page 5, line 1. For hazardous material endorsements, federal and state law requires they pass a written test every 2 years. That was a requirement even before then, so again, it's a compliance issue. So those are the only two small changes that are made for federal compliance. So I would ask that the committee substitute be adopted.
Motion on the sub. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, unless there's any opposition to the sub. Any noes? Okay. Motion carries. Senator Hornback has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No question, Senator Wheeler, just a comment. I really appreciate you bringing this to us because, that's something that needed to been done some time ago. We've got the trucker shortage. I wish, but I would like to tell the members and get it on the record, I wish there's something we do about the federal law and what they've done with CDL and how difficult they've made it for people to get CDL and expensive because now you have to go to school prior to even applying to get your CDL, and that's a $5,000 to $8,000 cost. That's several days unless the employer, your future employer, agrees to pay you while you're going to school. So I don't know how we're going to get more truck drivers out there when they keep putting up these roadblocks. So I appreciate what you're doing, Senator Wheeler. That's a great bill. Thank you.
Senator Hornback, I could not agree more with everything you just said, and I even think that hopefully we're seeing maybe even a little bit of that out of the Federal Transportation Department. I've seen some reports that they're even looking at allowing 18-year-olds to have a probationary CDL if they can pass certain exams. So, hopefully the feds will learn that, they need to, we all want safety, but in terms of, people actually being able to get out there and work, we need to put as few impediments to that as we can.
Senator Hornback, we I don't know, Senate resolution might be in order to encourage the federal government to. I'd say you get a lot of co-sponsors on that because this is a crisis, and it's a crisis that we're making it. These undue regulations are making it worse. It was already bad, but they're making it worse. I've advocated for years, and the KCTCS has somewhat listened, but the area technology centers, I encourage people to teach, to have classes so folks can take those classes in high school and be able to pass this exam, because the number one thing that keeps someone from getting a CDL is the written test. Most folks have the skills it takes to drive a truck or can develop those fairly quickly, but that test keeps a lot of people out of the driver's seat. So hopefully we can work on that. Senator York. Okay, yeah, Yates. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr.
I don't know
Chair.
where I picked that. I did that not long ago. I'm going to change your name. If I say York, just answer to me, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, happy to sign on as a co-sponsor on this, and I appreciate that. One of my first questions onto it, I said, well, what if they had been, going to be suspended, revoked, one of those issues? And I think it's really important to point out that this only is those that had expired for less than 5 years and had not been subject to suspension, withdrawal, revocation, or disqualification. So we make sure that those that really needed to lose their license, it's not an end around. So I appreciate the way this was drafted, and I'm happy to sign on.
Senator Yates, you and I agree on those principles, and I'm very happy that this was such a bipartisan bill with so many co-sponsors. I think it really does show that although we may disagree around the edges on a lot of things, what we really want is to have our citizens having good paying jobs, and the great support that we've seen in the Senate for this bill, I think, demonstrates that.
Thank you. Senator Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Senator Wheeler, I thank you for this bill, and I'm happy to be a co-sponsor on board of this bill. It's something that we sorely need. And I agree with the chairman. We need to be teaching this in high school and giving them that opportunity to take the test, because, you know, you can actually drive a truck. You just can't drive it across state line at the age of 18. That's the only restriction I know of in regards to being a CDL driver right out of high school. So it would still help out a lot to be able to get some of these folks and these kids coming out of high school into a career that, you know, I've got a friend that has a concrete business. He said, I'll pay him $55,000 right off the bat to drive that truck. And so anyway, I also wanted to point out that you treated the operator's license similar in this right there at the very end, that if it's been expired less than 5 years, they can actually get it reinstated as well. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for bringing the bill.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a CDL holder for about 40 years, still am, I hope that the suspension, and there's no problem with the department, because if you let your medical permit expire, they will technically suspend you on line from those CDLs being operable. So I hope that they don't take that as a prohibition against somebody getting their license back, which was just a technical thing of. So I hope you can talk to transportation and make sure that and I'll work with you to. So suspension is not defined in this, where they might try to say, because I got one of those notices one time, and had to get the report in, and then they reinstate them. The license weren't taken from the CDL side. It was just because I didn't have the medical card in. So, but I appreciate what you're doing and look forward to working with you. And if it takes more, we'll do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right. I've got Senator Wise.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Real briefly, a lot of comments today about education and things that we can do. I do know a committee where that would be perfect for. I know a chair that would be happy to take any of these suggestions into a draft. So just saying that to any members here today, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wise. And, you know, I think it's important that we get this information out to how important. And Senator Wheeler, want to commend you. This is a common sense bill, and thank you for digging into it and working with the Transportation Cabinet to make sure that everything you did comply with federal law. And I know you did that, and I commend you for that. Also, something that I think is very important, like what you added at the end about the driver's license, the regular operator's license, now that there's not a lot of notification to folks when their license is about to expire like we did in years past. It's more important than ever. So any other questions? Motion on the bill? Have a motion and a second on the bill. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Berg. Senator Embry. Senator Hornbeck. Senator Smith. Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Turner. Senator Wheeler. Senator Wilson. Senator Wise.
Aye.
Senator Yates. Chairman Higdon.
Aye. Motion passes.
I'd like to, just if I might briefly, I would also like to give out a shout out to our Sergeant at Arms, Mike Templeman. He is actually the one that initially brought some of this due to his work in the coal industry. And, you know, we need to listen to our constituents. And Mike's a great guy. I've known for nearly over 30 years, and great businessman, and actually a candidate this time for our state senate. So I'm glad about the great ideas that he brings to the table, and I appreciate him on this.
Okay, motion passes, same shall pass. The vote was 10-0. Thank you, Senator Wheeler. Next up, we have some administrative regs. All right. Senator Hornbeck.
Mr. Chairman, if it's in order, I think a resolution would be good directed to the Secretary of Transportation on the federal side. I know I've talked with John about it, and there are no exemptions for the state on requiring people to go to school prior to being able to even apply for their test. And I think a resolution from this committee would be great, and you might talk to your counterpart in the House too. But I'd make that motion that we draft a resolution. I think you, and I may be wrong, but I think you maybe have already sent a letter to our congressional delegation trying to get this corrected, to get them to work on it too. So I'd make that motion.
But we'll take that as a request. No motion is not needed.
Okay.
We will have staff to prepare that for us, and that's thank you, Senator Hornback. We have several administrative regs on this morning. We have someone from Transportation Cabinet, Mr. Carlos Cassidy. Are you on with us this morning?
Yes, sir, I am.
Good morning. Identify yourself for the record, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir, I will. Chairman Higdon, my name's Carlos Cassidy, Executive Director of the Kentucky Motor Vehicle Commission. We have several regulations before you that have expired that have been utilized by the Kentucky Motor Vehicle Commission for years. The commission is repromulgating these regulations, and I would be glad to answer any questions that you or other members have.
Well, I will briefly state what these are. There's one that's proposed that deals with the dealer and salesman. The other one deals with change in ownership. The other one deals with motor vehicle dealership names. There's one that deals with procedures, one that deals with motor vehicle advertising, and one that deals with nonprofit motor vehicle dealer requirements and licensing. And I've read through these, and there's very few changes. There's, I don't think there's any gotchas in this. It's pretty straightforward. Any other members that look through these and have any comments? Senator Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like somebody just highlight the procedure one. That's the only one I would, if there's.
Procedure one. Mr. Cassidy, the procedure 605 KAR 001 131.
Yes, sir. Procedures, this is for the hearing process. If a dealership is cited for violations of Kentucky law, it gives some guidelines on what is to be followed as leading up to the hearing itself, as well as continuances. We have a number of times attorneys may need to ask for a continuance because they have a conflict with another court case, and it allows us to do that. We call for those requests to come in 48 hours prior to the hearing date. Most of these citations that do go out, we have a 20-day rule that we don't set a hearing any sooner than 20 days. I give ample notice. Right now, as we do hearings, I'm giving notices for hearings in May if I were doing something this month.
I guess the real question was, Mr. Chairman, was if there was no changes, many significant changes.
There's no significant changes. Like I said, I read through these and find no significant changes. They have passed the Administrative Regs Committee. We have a motion on the bill. Senator Hornback. Okay,
I've got a question on, and it may be not specific to 702 KAR 191, and just an explanation of the cabinet's policy, because this talks about coronavirus, it talks about quarantine. If an employee has COVID and gets quarantined, they get their sick leave for that. But if the employee is quarantined because they've been in close proximity to somebody that did have COVID, I understand that they did not get to take their sick leave for that. Is that true? Both are quarantined, one because they had COVID, one because they're in close proximity. And this is in some time past. This is maybe not now, but I've had a lot of complaints about that.
he's not reading
Is that question
different reg.
directed to me?
Okay, it's a different reg. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Okay, there's, we do not need a motion to approve these. No motion is needed. I guess would be a motion to find them deficient, but no motion to move along and let them move on through the process. I will commend the Motor Vehicle Commission. I don't know if any of y'all have had any dealings with them, but they if you have an issue, they're very prompt about checking into it. I know Senator Wise and I had one not long ago, and they dealt with it immediately. I had one a few weeks prior to that, and it was dealt with immediately. And so we appreciate the Motor Vehicle Commission and the work that they do. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Cassidy, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Chairman Higdon.
All right. Seeing no further business, unless someone has anything to bring up, we have a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.